So we have Luis, which is the host of today. He's representing TeamLabs. So we'll be speaking about what is TeamLabs for those of you who don't know what TeamLabs is. So, yeah.
Thank you. Welcome home. I'll try and be very brief, because otherwise I could stay here like Churchill said, if I have to talk for a week, just give me a microphone, and I'll get started. But I need a minute and a half or 2 minutes, so I'll try and pick, our best features in order for you to understand. TeamLabs, we understand it's a lab, but we like to define ourselves as an institution for the city. We are a learning institution. The concept that I believe that better synthesizes the whole idea is that we create knowledge companies, knowledge creating companies. Meaning, our aim is for companies to learn how to learn in order to be able to adapt to the changes in the circumstances. And that's particularly sensitive nowadays because of all the changes we are undergoing lately, right? With COVID, with all the crises and so forth. So the world changes and revolves around, its own definition day by day. So that's our commitment. The program for which we are known for is LANE. Okay, it's an official degree. It's a 4-year degree where students engage in a very particular journey. They get started with their own companies right from the beginning, and the needs that their companies require them to develop are the basis of their own development. So they need to get the competencies that will allow them develop the company, and that's the whole process. So it's kind of a flipped classroom in which the problem or the challenge is the starting point of the whole company and the whole development of skills, both soft and hard skills. And throughout the journey, they travel the world so that they not only learn to do it in a particular circumstance, but they also learn how to shackle the cage. And they go to Finland, Germany, Costa Rica, Korea, India, where they have to try and learn how to adapt fast to those circumstances. So that's about it, I guess. And that's one of the reasons why we love to have you guys here. We love to welcome, interesting initiatives which can actually help our learners get influenced by things that are happening around. Okay, because we don't have the answers. We only are more related to the context than to the actual answers.
That's perfect.
Cool. Have fun.
Okay. So we have Alexis over there, and this event is called a Vermú. You know what a Vermú is? Okay, the Spanish people do. It's a drink, but the good thing about the Vermú is that it's before eating, before lunch. So it's a moment of gathering with people that you want to be, and just have a quick chat and just to get to know you. So my main goal here is to actually present you no-code hackers, but to actually make that both communities actually start speaking to each other and actually engage, and maybe some opportunities will arise, or maybe you can have friends in Spain, which is always good, and then we have friends in France, which is always good. So I'm gonna start with the agenda. Yeah. The agenda. You will meet our students, because I think one of the best ways of presenting no-code hackers is through the people that we've taught. Then we will speak about no-code hackers, about no-code France, and then we'll do a community talk, just sharing insights on how we do it. So thank you again for TeamLabs, for no-code France, for these guys to organize this week. And we will start with Luis Alfonso. Yeah, and the clicker is not working, so yeah. Yeah, Luis Alfonso. So Luis Alfonso, okay, please, and you can give him a big applause. Luis Alfonso is no-code specialist at matter. So it's one of the few persons that I know that actually works with this title in Spain. So it's really a great opportunity to have him here. And then he's founder of La Guarida, which is his own space. So just 10 minutes of getting to know him and tell him about his experience. So, yeah.
Thank you, Alex. First of all, I wanna please, can we change the presentation? I don't want my face that big in here, please. Thank you. That's better. Salut à tous les compagnons. We are going to make it in English because my French is limited and we all want to comprehend everything. So, well, yeah, my name is Luis Alfonso and I wanna speak about three things. The first one is how did I get to no code and why did I get to no code? Because I wasn't looking for no code. The second one is my role at Mutter, that is a venture builder, where I joined them a month ago, approximately. And the last thing that I want to speak about, I can remember, but I will remember later. So first of all, I will speak about my background. I finished my university degree 3 years ago. It was business and marketing. After that, I didn't like too much our consumption system, so I studied stuff about circular economy, sustainability. And I was looking to make a prototype, so I looked for a tool where I could prototype, and I found Figma. But I didn't know what the hell was that. And also, I found Notion around April 2020, and my brother sent me a link about a thing called no-code-hackers.es or .com. I can remember, and I didn't pay attention to that. The first thing that I did to the no-code term was ignoring it. So yeah, but no, we are here. So the thing is that I'm a little bit nervous. Adria asked me a little bit earlier if I was nervous. I wasn't. I'm right now, but I'm a little bit more comfortable now that you know it. And well, after getting involved in a circular economy project with the Madrid City Council, where we needed an app, I started to play with Glide on my free time, but I took it like more seriously a year ago that I could make things. And after being on that project that was so slow and I didn't like too much those times of the I mean it was a university with a public institution. I decided to make a bet for no code. It was exactly a year ago when Alex told me, Luis, what you're doing has more value than what you think. I was doing prototypes on Glide, but I didn't thought that was something that functions, that works properly. And like in September, I decided to combine that part of circular economy with more no code. And I did like 2 courses with no-code hackers. A year ago, the product marketing camp, that it explored a wide variety of tools, but it was more from a strategy part. It was so focused on Webflow, and I didn't like Webflow. I still don't like Webflow. I think that I will never like Webflow even. And also some months ago, I did a Bubblecamp course with Pablo Heredia, and that was a change of mind in myself because I structured more my mind in terms of databases, how to make workflows, and that was like a leverage to change the way that I do things in Glide. And I explore I found a big potential in Glide, and also with the we have to support Glide a little bit more, even with the last changes. And so, as I was freelancing, I decided to move to Barcelona, and also once again, Alex appeared on my life, and he told me, Luis, I have a work for you. It is I was some months ago with the desire to work in an agency or in a company, but apart from, I wanted to keep my projects. So it was a part-time role that he told me you can meet them. I think it's a good opportunity, and in fact, it is. It's where I'm working today in Mutter. That is a venture builder. Is what I'm going to explain right now. But I got to know code because I wanted to make things, not because I wanted to develop. In fact, I didn't like code. I like code now. I do not know too much code, and I think that it is not my role, but comprehend and understanding what code gives us. So the thing is, in the 14th of March, I started working in Mutter. That is a venture builder. A venture builder is a company that creates companies from the very beginning. So we do startups from the idea until the exit. When the startup is mature enough, we look for investors. Well, it's not my role, but the company does. So what has been my role in here, and why did they needed? Am I in the camera? Because I'm moving too much. Okay, thank you. So I don't want to be the protagonist, but I think I am right now. And well, in Mutter, they have the product people, the IT people, people that do code, and they were taking all of them the no-code stuff, but they didn't know deeply any tool. They didn't know deeply Airtable. They didn't have those capabilities because it's normal. I mean, we cannot know about everything, and it's something that we in the no-code have to have present. That am I okay? Well, okay. We don't have to know about everything, but we have to know which paths which we should explore. So they needed a person with no code. They started the job post was about a part-time role, but from the very first day, they told me, I mean, do you have more hours? And not currently, but I will have, because there's a demand very clear in the company that we need more in investment on no code. And I even failed. Well, in the first days, some people of the company, when they knew about my role, they were asking me about what are you doing, what are you in charge of, and I even failed about showing the no code value. But in the first 40 days that I've been there, we've launched an app that changes how one of the projects works. We have developed a whole Airtable interface that runs a startup from the inside. And also in the next 10 days, there's one project that has an investors meeting, the 9th of May, and we will have to join the information that we have on HubSpot, the information that I'm not taking advantage of this moment to remember what I have to do in the next days. I'm so sorry, but I think that maybe it's interesting to know what the hell I'm doing. So that's it. We have to join arrange all the information that we have also in ERCO, from the call center operations, and make a dashboard for the investors. And we are going to make it in around 3-4 days, because also there's one very good thing at Mutter, that we have 4 days a week. Jornada laboral. We just work 4 days a week. So just you can take a note from the name of the company, that is Mutter, MUTTER, if you ever want to come. But that's it. There are 3 projects that are strategic for all those companies. We have like 9 projects in life right now that will be developed in less than 2 months, that are technology, and that's it's a big change, because if not, they were doing it with IT, with the code, with the IT team. And the most important thing, the output and the outcome that I wanna transmit you, is that my role is not to make technology that will be the last technology that will be used. I am working between product and IT, and the thing is that I think I have to prepare everything, all the documentations, all the processes to make the handoff to the development team whenever that that technology breaks, because no code needs to be broken in some moment, because that's the role of no code, is to take the project until its limits. But if you have to until its limits, it's because of the usage of that technology. So that's my role on Mutter, and one of the big works that I have to do in there is to define my role. Part of my role is defining my role, and that's a difficult thing, because there are projects where there is a person of product between me and the CEO, and that's the most comfortable structure for me, because there is someone prioritizing, defining, etc. But in the projects where I am directly working with the people that explore stuff, but they don't have a product role, it is a little bit more difficult, because I say, okay, yeah, I can do it, but who is prioritizing that? Because I don't have the product knowledge and all the user feedback on my mind. So I think that one of the outcome is to get to know where is the value of no code, is how much money do you want to invest in validating your idea and your product. And the other one is that we have to be to know what are our responsibilities within the product, because sometimes having one mind for development and product design is a very difficult thing. So that's it. I think that probably in the next months we will. I hope that we can hire someone, because it's something that is being so evaluated within the company. Well, I think that after yeah, I don't know. You manage the times. Just two last things. The next time that you come to Spain, you have to go to Galicia. And if you cannot do that in the following months or year, you can also try Licor Café this tonight, if you can, because it's also a very typical drink from there. Yes, that's the most valuable outcome of my speech. Thank you for your attention.
Yeah, it works. So Luis Alfonso is from Galicia. I'm also from Galicia. So yeah, Licor Café, you definitely should try it. Not too much. Okay. So I'm going to talk about no-code hackers, which is my baby, my little project. And yesterday I was telling you for the closing remarks that you should launch stuff into the market, because you never know. That's what happened to me. It was in COVID, pandemic, May 2020. We are about to make 3 years of the company, and I have Carmen here, so she's part of the company now. So it's a great way that we've traveled from a simple tweet, just showing people, hey, I want to make this stuff. I spent a day working on the branding, on the landing page, and on a free course, which is, you can check it out. I haven't updated it since, okay, just for the memories, because it's now not great course because it's old. But yeah, it's there for fun, no? So this was the first iteration of no-code hackers. Just a quick, rough Webflow. I didn't know much about Webflow, but I want to try. And I made this website. I made a free course. I launched it to the world, and for my surprise, people say, hey, this is interesting. Because I was doing things with Airtable, with Zapier, with Webflow, and I thought, everybody knows this. Everybody uses this, I'm just one of them. But whenever I talk with anybody, it was like, what are you doing? What is that tool? How can you do that? This is magic. And at that point, I realized, hey, there's something in here. So we started with a course, then another course. I took the big giant step of actually monetizing the project. So I charged €5 for the course, and it was €5. That's a lot of money for me. because I haven't learned like nothing online. I had a job in innovation and it was really cool, but it was my project and it was like my first 55 euros. The first day, we went from 5 euros to 10 to 15 to 19, and we sold like 200 euros. Okay, I was like, 200 euros. That's a lot of money. But the thing is that I launched the course without actually having the course, so I had to do it. And then people were happy, and I did another course, and I did the same. I did like a pre-launch of the course, and it was like 39 euros. So I sold it, and I sold like 10 to 15 spots, and it was like 2,000 euros, and I was like, oh, 2,000 euros. That's a lot of money. And that moment I realized, hey, there's something in here. I'm going to explore a little bit more. So I dedicated my free time to actually create a little bit of community, because I always thought, and I keep still thinking that this is all about persons, like Luis Alfonso, for the people that are here today. And I started like creating a newsletter, then a podcast, then a community on Slack, then that community died, so I make another one, and that died, and then I make another one, and that died, and then I make another one, and that died too. So I'm not very good at creating communities. But yeah, the project makes some interest in the market, and we managed in the first like 6 to 8 months to earn like 10,000 euros. Okay, selling courses, and that was like a lot of money for me. I'm gonna say a lot of money, a lot of times. Okay. So at that moment, Minimum Run, which is our sister company, which is an agency, no-code agency, we work with great brands all around the world, like Iberia, Mango, Zara, Factorial. We specialize in no-code, but Webflow. We do mainly like product marketing sites for these companies, specialized on Webflow, like great design Webflows. So I joined Minimum Run in January 2021. And at that moment, they told me, hey, we want to do education and we want to do it with you. So we're offering you to actually buy part of the project and just invest in the project and keep growing. So they acquired the 75% of no-code hackers. I still have the 25% of the project, and then I have a little bit of Minimum Run. But that was like my first moment of actually thinking, hey, I can make a living teaching people no-code. So at that moment, we had 6 courses, okay, and we mainly do like small courses, like pretty precise courses, like Airtable, Notion, Zapier, learn Zapier in an hour, Bravo, a lot of tools that I actually like, and we launched it. But we actually figured out that it was difficult to keep selling a new course, and then a new course, and then a new course, and create a new course, and create course, and create course. We did that until we have 30 courses. Okay, so it was like 6 months of each week actually launching, recording, and creating a course. So at that moment, we say, hey, they have all these courses, but it's difficult for them to actually buy them. So we created a subscription, which we called No-code Hackers Pro. And with that subscription, it gave you access to a private community of some sort. And we have a moment in which we separated the free content and the paid users. And that will be like the main community of no-code hackers, because we have the free community, the free space, the free content, the thing that we make to actually empower people and say, this is no-code, come try it, it's really, really useful, really nice. And then we have the paid part, which is come learn with us. So this actually didn't quite work really well. We thought in our minds that people are gonna just say, hey, this is a great offer because I can do these 36 courses on no-code. Nobody wants to do that. Okay, nobody. Maybe you, but not all of them. So we actually launched the Product Marketing Camp, which Luis Alfonso took the 2nd edition, which is a cohort-based course where we teach people to actually engage in our process of actually building marketing sites, very focused on Webflow, as Luis Alfonso said. It worked really well. We said, there's something there. And we launched it on a Thursday. On Friday, we had like 50 leads wanting to pay like 500 euros. So we said, that's a lot of money. We keep doing this. We stumbled like a few months, but we actually managed to go further on that way and define ourselves as a community, because with that comes, we actually learn that people learn better together. So we are encouraging people to actually get together, get to know them, and to actually share knowledge. So we made a really nice event on December, which we will host hopefully again this December. You are all invited to come, which is called No-code Day. And one thing that I didn't tell you is that this was all online. Okay, I haven't seen anybody in person like for 2 to 3 years. And then this was like the first time that I actually was in person. What whole team? For example, you have Carmen here, which is also there, and we have Tomas and Sergio and Elias and all of our partners. So it was like, this is real. There are people behind the screens, behind the numbers that actually want to learn no code. Went really well, the event. We actually like it. But as I said, we are focused on digital experience. So we sell something that we call now workshops, which is cohorts of 4 to 8 weeks, with pre-recorded content, but with live sessions of doubts. And we've managed we started this format in December of this year, and we've teach like 200 students until this point, which is May. So yeah, we found that something, okay, and we are really happy with how the community is getting around. In the other part, in the free, like the expanding to a lot of people, like the free part of No-code Hackers, we keep creating content. We have a newsletter, podcast, YouTube channel, too many channels, but we've managed to actually reach 10,000 students in total, which is a lot. but yeah, our main focus is the workshops. We have Adrián, which is the teacher of the Flow, No-code, Pavel with Pablo Heredia, Webflow, Framer. Then we have automations, Figma, and marketing, which are coming up next. But there was a point that the No-code Hackers product wasn't working, and we want to have like a more integrated experience for our students, because our main goal is to actually teach people. And we migrate to Heartbeat, which is a very unknown platform, but it actually works really well for us because it allows us to have like a private community where people can join, chat, and share, and actually learn, because the workshops are there, the content is there, and the community is there, so it's all in one. And we have over 400 people in the paid community. So as I said, we do a lot of free stuff. A weekly YouTube video, a weekly newsletter, a bi-weekly podcast, and a lot of free courses, which are the most of the 10,000 students are coming through the free courses. On the other hand, we discovered that companies actually want to learn no-code, and there's a very big opportunity to actually teach these companies to how no-code works and actually work inside these companies, like Matter, if you wanna go there. But yeah, we managed to work with Decathlon, with Thane, which is a big space in Navarra, Santa Lucia, BBVA, IED, EAE, which are big companies, to actually teach them, and they pay us really nice fees to actually work with them. So it's a part of the business, like half of the earnings, and it's really awesome to work with this enterprise. So yeah, that's mainly all from No-code Hackers. Any question that you have, we will debate afterward with the experience of Alexis. And yeah, we have Alexis. I don't know if this is your best pick. Sorry, LinkedIn. You should change it if you don't want it. But he's the co-founder of Contournament. You already know them, but for the Spanish people, no-code ops expert. And it's really interesting to actually learn how the French community started and how it changed over the time. So that's what we will be speaking about. So a big applause for him.
I choke and somewhere. All right. Thank you so much. It was super interesting to see your presentation because there is a lot of common points and there's also something that are very different, as you will see. So I'm going to try to make it not too long. This is a presentation we did with Stan at the Happy Days conference at the end of December. It's a shorter version. Actually, it's not exactly up to date because now we also reached the 10,000 mark in the French no-code community. So yeah, let me tell you this story. I'm sorry, I'm a little tired. I had too many Vermú last night, so but I will try to make it interesting. All right, so before we get into the story of the French no-code community, I'd like to introduce you to some of the characters of that story. So here are 4 members. So for instance, you have Carol. Carol is a psychologist. She has no technical background. But she's very interested in no-code tools. She likes to do what we call in French tentage de truc. So she likes to try things with no-code tools. Then you have Amandine, that is not here today, but she's part also of the expedition in Barcelona. She's a designer originally. Again, no technical background, but she became very good with Make. She's like very expert in automation. Below you have Lilian. Lilian has no degree, didn't do any studies. He was dropshipping sex toys for a living. He was like some small jobs, but then he discovered Airtable and Make, and he became also an expert in this, helping the people in the community. Like on the Slack, on our Slack, I will tell you a bit more about it. He was answering everyone and became very good with it. And then you have Julien. Julien is an electrical engineer. He spends his days on electrical poles, fixing them. But at night, he's our Batman, like last time likes to say, because at night he's making a curation of all the news in the no-code space, which he shares with the community every Friday, which is one of the very cool things we have in our community. All right, so how all of this started? How are those people with no technical backgrounds? So there are also programmers in the community, but they're less interesting, I think. But I'm a programmer myself, so it's originally. So how it started back in 2019, where it started in 2015, actually, when I met my co-founder, Erwan. He started a company which was a coding bootcamp, which I joined as a teacher and also where I ran the agency inside. But he already was following no-code tools because he has no technical skills. Like he showed me Bubble back in 2015, for instance. I quickly discarded it because I didn't really care. I know how to code. Why would I need a tool that's back in 2015 was quite clumsy and not working so well? But then when we left the company, and then he showed me again, introduced me to Airtable, to Webflow, and then I was like, okay, 2019, those tools are mature, those tools raised a lot of money, this is becoming interesting. We can teach non-technical people to get skills of programmers with that. So we decided to launch a company which we called Contournement, which means bypass or walk around in French. We're very happy with this name. And we wanted to do a no-code bootcamp. That was our original project. So at the end of 2019, we started this. No one knew about no-code, really, in France at least. So it was very hard. We didn't really find our clients. But at the same time, sorry, I don't remember. Yeah, we also wanted to start a community. So originally it was our community, it was the community of Contournement. And we did events in the real life, and we started a Slack channel. The events was really tough. As I've said, like in the US, like no-code was already quite buzzing. In France, no one knew about it. So sometimes we would book a bar for 30 people, 2 people would show up. Like it was really, but I'm still like a bit traumatized by it. And then on the Slack, like anyone I would meet on Twitter or something that I would see speak about no-code in French, I would invite them on the Slack. For instance, that's how I met Stan. I also did a podcast. I did several things and tried to bring everyone together. So at the end, so we started in the summer of 2019. At the end, in February 2020, we were 148 people, which is a nice number, but it's actually when you think that most of those people are not very active, it's not really great, because I was really talking. I was mostly me doing the questions and the answer on the Slack channel. The events were not very busy. So I was like, okay, is it really worth the effort? Am I gonna let die this community? Maybe, as you know, Alex was saying, that it's very hard to keep pushing. So after 6 months, I was like, okay, is it worth it? Yeah, that's all to say that. So I didn't really have time to really think about it and to let it die, because something happened. You all remember this, March 2020, we all of a sudden, the COVID pandemic struck, and we were all stuck at home, which was a perfect opportunity to get people interested in no-code. people were at home. I don't know what you were doing during that time, but a lot of people in this room or in our community decided to learn no-code. They decided to build apps with Glide, for instance, which was very easy at that time to do. This is our Glide expert. You can see he's very enthusiastic whenever we say the word. So what did we do? We did same thing, but online. So we did webinars, we did live stream, we did hundreds of them. And this time there were a lot of people coming in because they were stuck at home, they had nothing better to do, and we're very happy with that. And the Slack channel also really found its utility. And so this is, you can see, this is the number of registration on the Slack. So this is March, so you really see the inflection point. And so by the end of August 2020, there was almost 800. So we really made it like 4 times more. So this became interesting. But actually, it was nice growth, but only a fraction again of those members were very active. How do we make people more active? Is it going to keep growing if after the COVID, or it was really also still we're not very sure. And also there was more and more work of like moderating the exchange, because at that time it was still only me being the admin of the community. It was still the community of Contournement. It was not called No-code France yet. So I thought in the summer of 2020 that I had something to do to change and to keep growing, to make sure that our community would be the only no-code, the French no-code community. Not because I wanted to be in control of everyone, but just because it made sense. Because if you have everyone in the same room, you have more exchange, you have more contacts, you have more connections. So I decided to share the ownership of the community. So I went to see 12 of the most active people in the community at that time. And I asked them if they wanted to share the ownership of the community with me. And also we rebranded, of course, because it wouldn't make sense to be still called the community of Contournement, because some of those people were actually our competitors. But since the beginning in France, we tried to really bring everyone around the table. Even if they were selling courses like we were doing, like it didn't matter, because what was more interesting was to try to make it something like bring everyone together. So then really things started in motion. For instance, this is one of the 12%, Jeremy. He made a post on LinkedIn, which brought 500 people. Just one post brought 500 people directly to the Slack. And all of those members that were both active and a bit influent in the no-code sphere did the same. And so we really increased very quickly the number of people. And since we changed the name, it also became the first and the only French no-code community in a way. There are others, but this is like the federation, I would say, like federating everyone. And so when we did that, so here are how we did it, but I don't know, I'm not going to get too much into we can talk about it later. But we try to have like a better onboarding to really think, okay, this is going to scale, so we have to scale properly to make sure we're not going to ruin all this effort of bringing everyone together. And so we keep organizing events also. Yeah, we try just to make it exciting. It's going to be a good summary. And so by the end of the year 2020, we're already 2,500. So well, it started to be interesting. So what happens next? And I'll finish with that very quickly. It's like scaling the fun. That's what we wanted. I mean, because this is not about business really. Like people are doing business in the community, but the goal of the community is really to bring people together and do fun things. So we started a live Twitch channel, which again, we shared with the community. It was kind of started by Stan, who is here, who's streaming right now on this Twitch channel. But we have, I don't know, 30 people from the community that are doing streams. Like for instance, at 12, we have to close our stream because there is someone from the community that was going to talk about no-code and AI, for instance. And it does that every Friday. So it's almost, I would say, it's like a TV channel, pretty much. We have, I don't know, like a lot of like screen airtime. So yeah, that's I think one of the most interesting things we did. So yeah, all the things, we have a lot. We also, since COVID is a little less active, or I don't know how to say, I don't know, are we out of the pandemic or I don't know. But anyways, we started when we could we started also meeting in real life again, and this time there was much more people. This is a hackathon in Nantes, for instance, that was organized by No-code for Good, which is a non-profit that organizes events. You can see people are still wearing masks. Actually, it's kind of weird to see that. But it was the first event that took place after the lockdown. It was very nice to finally be able to meet a lot of the people who were talking online for all that time. And this brought the next level of bringing people together, of bonding, really, because it's nice to talk on Slack, but it's really when you have a drink with someone, I think, a non-alcoholic drink, but we meet people in the real life, shouldn't talk about alcohol. Just, meeting people, chatting, like we're doing here. I'm super excited that we do that. Yeah, we also had, it's a bit on hold, but a virtual office, a remote, like where people also, as you don't really see it, but there are several companies from the no-code space that have a shared office in a remote space. We had to give up a little bit on this project, but this was also very interesting. And then, so by the end of the year 2021, it was 5,000 people. And then, just to conclude on that, the next step in 2022 was to bring more structure. So it's cool to have fun, to have people, but then we decided to create a non-profit organization that is called No-code France. And again, we're doing it in a very collaborative way. It's non-hierarchical, there is no president or whatever. There is only, so there were 12 founders that were not the same people actually that the 12 first founders of No-code France. And then, so it's people are involved just to make things, so it's easier because now we can also get money, we can do things more official way because of this non-profit. So yeah, more events. This is the 2-year anniversary last again, which were in 5 cities simultaneously, which was very nice. Very proud of that. There was 100 people in Paris, France. And, sorry, I'm Parisian as you can see. And so this is the final count. This is as of yesterday. So yeah, honestly, it's really a vanity metric. It's just, it makes a good story to show the evolution of numbers. But we have about, I think on the Slack, 20% of this that is active. But if you go on the No-code France Slack, and you're all invited if your French is not good, but if you want to have a look, it's very active. It's impossible to keep up with all the channels. There are questions, but it's very interesting because there's a lot of questions from newer people asking, okay, how can I do this in Airtable? And there's always answers because there are people who just learn how to do this, who are sharing. So there's also a lot of education in all this, which is nice, which I guess is also because we are originally an education company. So I guess we put that in the project. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, that's one of my favorite. That's it. It's better for the over 9,000. And this is us. Yeah. This is really cool. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, it's the moment. It's an open chat. I have questions for him. Prepare. But did you have any question about no-code trackers? We have no. We should get together.
Come close. There's no COVID anymore.
Okay. I think one of the key differences between France and Spain is that in Spain we have 2 communities. We have no-code hackers and we have sharing away, and then there is only no-code France and then some others. No? So how do you think that being the only one makes you better, or would you prefer to have some competencies and to actually get motivated by them?
I think it's going to change, but I think it was great to have a big community to be able to leverage, because I don't know how you feel like here, but in France, no-code is still outside of our little bubble. It's not very famous. Like the media don't talk about the tools we use. So being more federated, I think, helped us a little bit organize, for instance, a big event like the No-code Summit. Even if it wasn't an event from the French no-code community, there was a lot of people involved. So it helped to have people together, to have publishers also who are, we have some French publishers, but even talking with foreign publishers helped to see those big numbers. It's always it makes things easier. But at the same time, there is one company, for instance, called Auto, which is bubble specialist doing education. They have their own community. There are some people here from Auto, And it's interesting because they started actually at the same time as us, but it's like a subgroup kind of thing. They have their own identity, but they're very focused on Bubble. They have their own education program. I think it's closer to what you're doing. And I think it's interesting because the people from Auto, the students, there's some students here also, are very close to each other. The alumni, I don't know how you pronounce this word in English, are very close together because they went through the same bootcamp, and I'm sure you have this, which you have less in the friend. Being part of No-code Friends is not like a strong identity, you know what I mean? It's like so we have a bit less of ambassadors, but it's good because it's just a general thing, so you can be part of this and part of a subgroup like Auto, and I think there will be more and more of this, and it's fine. I think it's great.
You said that actually no-code is not widely known in France. I think the same is in Spain, but 10 times more, because in France you have Bubble, and that really gets going the community. I hope, or I'm like trying to guess. How do you say in general is the no-code movement in France? Inside the companies, how many agencies are there creating projects? How do you see it? Because in Spain, we are minimum rank. There are agencies like Black, and there is Mother and other agencies, but it's really small ecosystem. And we are like 5 to 10 players. We actually know each other, and we share even clients between the two. So, yeah, how do you see it?
Well, yeah, in business-wise, it's true that it's very dynamic in France. Like in the past year, we really saw a big, a large number of creations of agencies. Sometimes an agency is one person behind it, you know, but it's okay. I mean, it's also the way you want to brand yourself. But there's a lot of freelancers, there's a lot of agencies, there's a lot more education. This is, I know because I really see this more from the business perspective. There is good, there is bad, there is everything. There is education. I think it's good to have competitors because I think there is, when you're a student, there are teachers you like. I mean, everyone has to find its own way of learning. So this is fine, but it's true. Like we see really a strong competition. So yeah, a lot of business. In terms of market, I think I don't know the people from WeWeb, maybe they can say, but I know that there are several tools where the French market is like the second after the US, or the third, or at least in the top 5. Like for instance, Notion, like the biggest community are in Japan and in Korea, which is kind of random, in the US of course, but then it's France, and like they only had one person dedicated to Japan, one person dedicated to Korea, and one person dedicated to France. So yeah, kind of shows what's the interest also that they have. But in terms of the public, when we talk about Notion is maybe the most widely known tool, and some will debate if it's a no-code tool or not. But yeah, when I talk to Airtable, when I meet random people, no one knows it, for instance. Bubble, maybe a little bit, but not. So yeah, it's changing, but yeah, sorry.
Awesome. One of the key questions that I have is, do people in France know English? Because in Spain, no. Okay, the most of the people don't have a good English. My level is kind of meh. But it's a real struggle. I built no-code hackers only because people didn't want to learn in English, because they have amazing formation, amazing products, amazing education in English, but Spanish is like, hey, we don't care. We actually spoke with agencies like Webflow and with other tools. It's like, I'm not gonna create in Spanish because it's not worth it for me. Even though we are like second most spoken language in the world, if they don't see it, I'm gonna take it. But yeah, how is the English level in France?
I think it's exactly the same. I mean, I'm not proud of it, but unfortunately, yeah, I think the English level is pretty low. That's why we're also doing all our content as a company. I mean, all our courses are in French. This is why we started, actually, because we saw in 2019 that there was already a lot, as you said, a lot of content in English. There's some really good courses and things like that. But yeah, in France, we saw an opportunity there. Because we know that it's better to produce content in France, and it's also how we got the community federated, I think. Because there was, I remember, I don't know if you've seen that, but there is a community called No-code Founders, for instance, that is pretty big. I don't think it's very interesting, to be honest, but I think their problem, it's not us, I'm sorry, it's recorded.
Wow.
No, but because it's just a lot of, how to say, promotion, I would say. No, I've talked to Joshua, I think it's called, and I tried to, sorry?
He's a friend of yours?
No, I mean, I tried to establish relationship. I honestly, there was a point during the COVID where I tried to get in touch with everyone, you know, was talking about no-code. But yeah, I don't know, I think it's much more difficult for him because he's trying to do something, he's Scottish, I think, so it's normal, he's doing his own language, which is English. But so he has people from all around the world that have different interests. You know, it's hard to federate. For us, it was easier because it's all in French. So people have an interest already in coming, like, because they know if they ask their question in French, you know, I don't know about that table, for instance, they will get an answer in French. It's much more easy than going to the community forum of a table and ask a question there, you know. And also you share like a common culture, like in terms of education, I don't think the way, at least we do our courses, for instance, is different. Wouldn't work necessarily with American people, for instance. Like the way we do things, I don't know exactly, we didn't try to do French anyway, so. But yeah, I don't know, I think it made it easier and it's both an opportunity. I think it's a shame because this prevent, like for instance, this live right now, I know there's not that many people looking at it because it's in English, you know, and that's life.
Awesome. When talking about communities, I think one of the key learnings on communities is that we actually engage in a community because it makes us better in some way. And that I think is called purpose. What is the mission of the person? How do they make each other better in the community? So our purpose, our mission in no-code practice is to empower the world to actually create with no-code, but the real purpose of no-code practice is having people here and they are almost friends and they can chat and then they go on having Vermús and they can teach each other, give opportunities to them. So that's our mission, to actually create that connections between students. So what's the mission of no-code France?
I would say it's to welcome the people who heard about no-code and want to know more about it, find the right resources and things like, and meet other people. This is the main thing, is bringing people together. I think the mission, at least in my mind, and this is not necessarily shared with everyone, but I don't think the mission of no-code France is to go look for more people to evangelize, because this is the job of the companies. Like, as a company, we try to evangelize it and make people know about no-code because that's our business also. But I think the community is more to welcome people, put them in touch, give you the right resources, have drinks together, have a pastis, or trying to find the equivalent of vermouth, but we don't really have it. But yeah, so yeah, I would say that's it. It's very simple. It's just bring people together in a friendly way. And we have 5 minutes until
5 minutes of the stream.
we can keep talking.
Yeah, we can continue in the stream.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with another questions that I have prepared on my mobile. I think that it's really key, actually, managing 12 people to actually gather around and create the development of no-code. So how do you manage to convince them, and how is your relation afterwards? These people pushing the project is difficult to manage. It's sometimes one person leading, and how is that?
Yeah, it's a good question because I skipped a little bit that part in the presentation, but it actually didn't work so well the first time, to be honest. And of those 12 people, actually only Stan is still very involved, because I think I went to those people, for some of them for the wrong reason, if I'm very, very honest, because some of them were influent, or but some of them came just because it's cool to be part of it and be like to have the badge as a founder of the community, but then some of them didn't do it much. Some of them, they didn't do much, not because they didn't want to, but just because they didn't have time, because they were busy people. And so 1 year later, when we we created the nonprofit, most of them didn't even apply to be part of the founding team of that nonprofit. Some of them because we didn't ask them, because they just were there for the wrong reason. Some of them because they say, okay, I'm sorry, I'm too busy, I didn't help as I was supposed to do, so, that was honest. So yeah, that was a bit of a mistake. I should have gone, some of them were active, but some of them were just influent, like, it's not that works. I don't think it's a good reason to, you need, if you want to start a community, you need people who are very involved, who really believe in the thing, and maybe they are less exposed. It's better because, they're here not for the fame or anything, they're here for the, so, yeah, but in terms of, managing, yeah, you always have one person that gives the impulse, but yeah, we didn't do much, to be honest. And now it's very slow, but it's much more, we have people from the community that kind of stood up and are helping a lot. And they are, I don't know, it's not necessarily the random people, but it's not but yeah, just because they were very active, they were out of our radar, and then they came and said, okay, can I do this? And then they became very important. So yeah, but we try to be very, as I wrote, like non-hierarchical, so that things go a lot slower, actually. But it's nice because it gives a chance to everyone to participate.
Okay, the last question for the streaming, and then we can keep chatting. For me, it's my full-time job, and not just for me, but for 4 people in our team to actually run no-code hackers. We actually do education, so we have to teach and create the courses and manage the courses, but community takes a really, really big part of our time. So how much time do you invest in no-code France, maybe on a weekly basis?
It's hard to answer. Not enough, I would say. Not as much as I want to. But so I'm one of the 6 administrators of the nonprofit. And then we have, I don't know, like 10, 20, maybe more people that are involved in helping. But as like the administrator, I'm supposed to, like the deal we did is like, okay, we're going to spend at least 1 hour per week to work on because there is an administrative stuff, and so that's the idea. It's not very easy to do because that's true, we're combining this with our business. But I think that's why things are going a bit slower, but it's okay. I mean, that's the cool thing with being a nonprofit and not a business. It doesn't matter, like things go as they go. It's like very organic, but we don't have any pressure, or at least we're trying not to put ourselves any pressure. We spend very not a lot, sorry. For the nonprofit, it's very, just pay a few tools. People become members, so they give us very few, but we don't have this pressure of making money. We don't even know what to do with the money we have, which is not that much, but we try to organize things now for France. So yeah, I wish I could spend more time because we have many ideas, but I think this also leaves the space for other people to join in. So yeah, we're really relying now on members that are active.
Okay. That's the next question is related to that, because if you don't make money on no-code France, you have to make money for other ways. No, contournement is the main way. So how do you see, not just for yourself or contournement, the opportunities to actually people in your community to actually make money on no-code? Because as I said yesterday, there are opportunities, and we help people to actually get jobs, start freelance, launch projects, and that's our way to help them monetize. But I don't know how are you doing that in no-code France, and you have like some people that you want to just, hey, this guy started with us and now he's running an agency with 20 people and it's amazing. I don't know.
It's so yeah, I would say there is a lot of business that is being done through the community, which is sometimes a bit undercover. Like at first, like when we really started scaling, one day I received a message from someone I didn't know that thanked me and said, "Oh, thank you, thanks to the community, I found 2 clients." Like maybe it's first 2 clients, something like that. And I had no idea because it was all like through direct messages and things like that. And I was very happy with that. And so we're trying to prevent people from being too aggressive commercially on the exchange. But then what happens is that, because honestly, most of the conversation on our Slack are technical questions. How can I do this with this? Or I have a bug, or I can do that. And so you have people who answer those questions. And of course, some of them, and it's fine, they also do it to make themselves stand out and then maybe provide their services as freelancers. And so this is happening a lot. And we even encourage people. like the people we train, we tell them, okay, first thing you do now, you've completed your course, you go on the Slack and you try to answer as many questions as you can. Because this is, first, you're going to learn more, you're going to improve your skills, and maybe, you find your first client, because, I mean, we have stories like that of people. So, yeah, it's quite organic. Some people who obviously come to do business, you see them, so those, and then they leave very quickly because they don't have the resilience of staying, because you have to answer, and now there is also more competition. But I think hopefully, I think also maybe we will structure this a bit more, maybe a sort of marketplace for freelancers, something like this, I don't know. But again, this is the kind of things, we have the idea, but implementing this as a community is kind of hard. But it will come. Maybe one person will say, okay, I will build a marketplace for you, and it will be great.
Awesome. I have one final question, and then I will open it and make sure that anybody has a question can ask it. But I found out that scaling a community takes a lot of time, like a lot of time. For example, in our case, in the Discord, which we have like 3,000, 4,000 people there, when we wanted to actually focus on getting the community to start, because as I told you, I failed like 4 times, 3 times on Slack, 1 on Telegram. I actually make a Thrive.so community, all failed. And then on Discord, I said, this is the one, I'm gonna make it. So I put a notification on my phone for each message in Discord and each new people that join, and actually send them like a message, like, hello, this is Alex, how can I help you? And if they have a doubt, I make sure to actually answer the doubt or connect with someone that would actually answer the doubt. So that took a lot of time, a lot of stress. I don't recommend it, but it actually made the community grow from 300 to 1,000.
But do you still have to do it? No. That's the thing. It's all about bootstrapping this, and once it's done, it's you have to reach a critical mass, I think, and then. But we're the same. Like honestly, I think building a community is all about resilience, about talking, like doing the questions, the answer, then answering the first questions, and onboarding people is very important. As you were saying, this is like something we have in the Slack. We have an automated sequence, of course, a lot of automations for people when they arrive. They have a message. They have a message 3 days later. They have a message 1 month later, something like this. So we have all kind of things those people really feel welcome. And because the main problem in a community, especially when it's big, so this is like the opposite the problem, is that people feel a bit of pressure, because when you arrive, you have a lot of people exchanging, you have people very expert. There is a lot of self-censorship. It's like people don't dare to ask them questions. So we're trying to. So we have a special channel for beginners, for instance. Safe space. We have also there is. We didn't talk about it, but we have several people who are working on the question of inclusivity, I think, and the diversity. So we have a channel that is only for women, for instance. If you're a man, you're not allowed to go there. This is important because this gives a safe space for people to exchange. So yeah, several things like this. But yeah, I think honestly, to start this, there's no secret. So.
Mm-hmm. And what's your main learning from this experience?
I think it's interesting because I would say is that it's easier to do it without the commercial aspect. Like not being a company doing that, but at the same time, you're showing that you can also do it as a company. So I think this is what's really interesting in those two stories. The result can be the same. It really depends. But yeah, I think for me, it's as a community maker, it's really the resilience at the beginning. That's what I learned. And also what you will give at the beginning, the vibe. If you're very commercial yourself, people will be commercial. It's like you get what you give, what you impact at the beginning.
Yeah, and I mean, for clarifying, our No-code Hackers is a for-profit company. We have to actually pay people. But the community, it started with the same concept in mind. It's not the No-code Hackers community of I'm going to sell to you because you are in this Discord, I'm going to sell the hell out of you and just spam you with the new courses. It's like, I want to help you to discover no-code. Because if you discover no-code and you need to then learn, you will know us. And maybe you come with us, maybe you go with with another one, but it's kind of non-profit, the community, for that reason. So I think that's one of the key learnings, because if you try to make a community commercial from the very first point, it's really tough.
You know, actually, it's because we had the same. Like our idea at the beginning when we started, when we created the Slack, was to do exactly what you were doing. And I think it's totally fine as long as, as you say, you're not pushing your... People will not stay anyways, if you're pushing too hard on selling your stuff. But what we've figured is that we were not comfortable, actually, even if we're not pushing, we're not comfortable having our clients in the same... So that's why we decided to rebrand. And in a way, it kind of helped us also because, we divided. So then we could have some messages as Contournement promote our courses, just like everyone else. We didn't abuse of the fact that we were the founders of this thing. Like we don't use the ad channel, for instance, like everyone, we just follow the same rules. But also it gives everyone a chance, and and people think it's more fair, So but it's two different ways. But yeah, honestly, in a way, to be honest, I kind of wish we managed to do it the same way as you. But then it's a different story, It's cool that that's the reason of this talk now.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, open to any questions. Please have one question at least. Anyone? Yeah, this is like the awkward silence.
It's not really a question, but maybe I can give you a bit of a global perspective on some of the things. It was a great discussion, so I just want to add a few words. I'm from UWeb, but no product placement or anything like that.
Please do.
But fascinating stuff, and I cannot help myself about when you both said that the no-code is so small, relatively speaking, both in France and Spain. Well, you have no idea. It's way smaller everywhere else in the world. And I can't help myself, and I had to react to this because in the US, where I am based, we speak of France as a role model when it comes to no-code. Communities as well as adoption of no-code products is way bigger than in the US, for example. And we deal with a lot of much smaller communities in South America. And they also speak of France as the role model, So to hear you saying that it's so small is kind of is almost depressing, but it is growing. So, for example, you would be surprised that like Mexico is getting really, really big in no-code. So especially Mexico City, but they're kind of spreading and they are really getting more organized, not with the numbers that you both showed here, but they are getting like into the hundreds and maybe into the thousands in Mexico alone. Brazil is very big as well, which is quite interesting. One of our new Brazilian friends told me, I did not know that Brazil is the second largest bubble market in the world. I had no idea. And that is depressing, so we need to change that. And also very interestingly, Singapore is growing as well, and Australia and New Zealand. So somehow almost we need to start making those connections and convert all of this into one big global, global community. So that's one thing I wanted to mention. Second thing also what both of you said was the adoption of no-code. I can speak specifically for the US. It is incredibly low, incredibly low. And what is very, very interesting, and I don't know whether that applies to Europe, I think it does apply a little bit to Europe, that surprisingly to me personally, no-code adoption is much stronger in large companies. Because the large companies in the US figured out that no-code means higher productivity, a lower cost, and therefore they are kind of jumping on it right now, and it is growing. But what you would not think is that it is not really very prevalent in startups, for example, because the startups in the US are getting big pushback from VCs. VCs firmly believe in code as the only path. There are some legal and financial reasons for that. For example, if you want to go and get a loan in a bank, they want your code as a collateral, which is not so easy with no code. So there are some other reasons. But yeah, so no-code is definitely growing in some large, seemingly bureaucratic organizations much faster than with the seemingly innovative startups and VC-funded companies, which is quite interesting. But I think, and I'm sure you feel that as well, I think we are at the very beginning of a very strong wave that is coming. And I think, I heard a great analogy from a customer, I think it was last week, which was brilliant, and I'm going to use it. This was an individual from a very large company as well. And he was a little bit depressed that his management does not quite see the value of no code yet, but he felt it is coming. And he said, remember 10 years ago, people were still questioning whether to be on the cloud is a good idea, right? Whether, should I be on the cloud? Or today, there is no discussion. The only discussion is should I be, public, hybrid, or private, but you have to be on the cloud. And this guy told me that he's 100% convinced that less than 10 years from now, 5 years from now, the same will apply to no code. No one will question it. No one will, there'll be no debate on that. But I kind of feel I've been involved in this for 3 or 4 years now, 1.5 years with WeWeb, but it definitely is picking up. And so, yeah, I think our challenge is now connect these communities into something more global and help that wave, help that swell, and turn it into a tsunami. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Awesome. A big applause, please.
Actually, I have a question. There's a question from Joyce, but I just wanted to, doing Spanish language for your courses and the community, does it bring people from LATAM, and how does it work?
I think Carmen wants to speak to that. No. Chile. Awesome. Yeah, I think, as I said, Spanish is the second most spoken language in the world. So it has to be easier for them to actually learn in Spanish than learning English. And we are seeing people like him, coming to no-code hackers, even though they have their own LATAM communities, no-code LATAMs. There are the people of Caudal. There are a lot of people there. Over half of our students are from LATAM at this moment. And that's a really great point for us, because in LATAM, the prices of Europe are very different. And actually investing in one of our courses, which can be in 300, maybe 500, maybe 1,000, 1,500 euros for them is a lot of money. And that's a lot of responsibility for us. I have one of the students that actually took a credit to actually do one of our courses. And I was like, why are you doing that? It's a lot of pressure.
So pressure for you.
Yeah,
Sure.
He's happy. I don't know.
That's one of the things I realized working with Creantage at the agency, though, that there's, from Europe, LATAM is one big country. It's we know Brazil is different, so that's it. It's a shame, but it's very hard to understand the cultural differences, and as you say, the economical levels, and so it makes Spain is quite different from this. But
There you have from Chile. Did you want to speak?
I found no-code 4 months ago. I'm doing here a master's in geoinformation, and suddenly I was trying to build some things with code, and it took me a long time, and then I found no-code hackers. I don't know if it's because I'm here in Spain that they pop up, and suddenly I started let's see how I can build a database, a simple database to just get customers and get click and go to the shopping cart directly. It worked, and I learned that no hackers, and now I'm looking for more automations. The no-code support, I think in LATAM, it's more focused in marketing. So far, from what I have seen. But I think it's going to get bigger as time goes by. Specifically Chile, my country, we're called the Silicon Valley of South America. Also with Colombia, but Chile is constantly bringing up startups and everything. I work for the government, not for the private thing. But I have friends who are in startups, and they saw me posting these things from local hackers, their challenges. And suddenly they called me because they have startups, and they said, "Hey, can you tell me what you're doing?" And now I think I told him, I think this thing is going to be really huge. And I told my friend who is doing this startup, he has raised a lot of money, and you should have some people focus on these no-code tools. Just to try out things, he loved it. And now he tried Airtable, he tried Mate, and he said, oh my God, I'm just testing things that it took me to build like 2 months, now I'm doing it like 2 nights. So I think in South America it's going to get really big, because in South America we have lots of things we can solve. Lots of things. Medical things. Like I work in the oceanographic and hydrographic things, and for the oceans and everything. So, and our tools are, the scientific people are like really bad at showing nice layouts, and we have usually like really bad web pages. So now in Framer we can, I'm also a bad designer, but the thing is that it just, I think it's going to be, and I think I really want to thank Alex and Alex.
Awesome, you're Fausto, right?
Yes, I know.
Yeah, that's one of the difficult parts, because as I said, we are online, and Fausto in video chat is very different from Fausto here. So I wasn't sure I wanted to.
Listen, I'm maybe. So,
There was a question. from
Yeah.
Joyce.
We have a question?
Joyce?
Yeah, so I was comment maybe yes. Okay. Yeah, Slavo's comments made me think. I would be curious to know what you think the type of people in your community, like, what do they do the most? Like, are they mostly makers with their own startups, or mostly freelancers, or mostly software editors? Where do you think, like, who are they in proportion? And yeah, I get it. Which ones are the easiest to deal with as well? Would be fun.
I will just repeat the question for the recording. So it's about like who are the people inside the community, and I will let you answer because I'm very used to know.
Yeah, in our case, it's students. Okay, I'm going to talk about who pays our courses. It's mainly designers. Okay, because they've been used to actually make really nice Figmas, but then they have to go to actually pay someone to actually develop that. And for them, it's like, I can do it myself. So it's amazing. So in part, we are coming from a design background, so there's a natural movement from design people, but I think it empowers them like a lot to actually not depend on technology. Then we have marketers, like for example, we have Veronica here, and we have Andrea, which is also creating on marketing. It's really powerful to actually build a website and create landing pages and don't depend on technology for actually building experiments or iterating stuff or creating campaigns and so on. So, the third one is project managers and product managers, which are a great way of union between like product and technology, as Luis Alfonso said, and they sometimes see the value. And then the fourth and the fifth is like makers, like Adrian, which I think is kind of in that maker way, like entrepreneurs, which we thought it was like the first, the makers, but now it's like the fifth students. There are some, but it's not our main. So in France,
I will add a question. I'm curious also to know in terms of mixity, like man, woman, do you know? I mean, maybe you don't even really know this.
yeah, that really bothered us because in the first one we had managed to have like 40-60, 41-60 men, but then for like 2-3 counts there were like almost everyone men. So we said this is not going to happen anymore. We have Carmen, which is like the main push of that movement in no-code hackers, and in our events is like 30% women, 70% men, but in our camps and workshops is not 50-50, it's not 50-50, but 40-35% women.
No, it's the same, I think, in the French no-code community. We don't have like very precise number, but yeah, the dimension is around 35%, I think, 40, depends. But what we see also, which is also concerning for us, is that maybe in the community itself, it's not 50-50, but like But in representation, like on YouTube, on our live stream, it's mostly men, which is annoying. But I mean, we're working on this. There's a group, a kind of task force in our association that is working on this. But it's hard. It's hard. It's not as bad as in code. Like it's not the situation. And so, but this is why, since we're still at the beginning, kind of this moment, we have a chance to probably like be better from the beginning and impose this mixity and diversity to almost different topics. But and in terms of background, it's really hard to answer. I would say the same biggest categories. But then, as I've said, you know, at the beginning of the presentation, we have also people from very various backgrounds. One of our, again, it's also like we have the same, like we have our students, and then we have the people from the community. But in our students that are part of the community, we have someone, for instance, that is very good in automation, but he runs a restaurant. Like it's nothing to do. Like we have some people who are very, like, you wouldn't believe they have no reason to be involved in no code. We have lawyers, for instance. We have, I don't know, I can't even think, like which is a problem for us as a company because we have a hard time doing personas. Like, it's marketing strategy, we're terrible at it because it's just like, people are so diverse that like we don't know. So we're just shooting wide and hoping that people are going to understand the benefit of no code and buy our courses.
Awesome. I think I have like one more question if you want to ask them. And then we will have something to eat. So who wants to speak? Nobody?
Time for the coffee. We can keep talking.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you, Alexis, for
Thank you for organizing this.
Yeah.
It was great. It's a really, really cool event. Very glad also we have the recording. We'll be able to share it. So, yeah, exactly. No, but I think, as Slava was saying, also I think maybe it's like the beginning of the impulse of you know, having connections between like countrywide communities, because again, as we said, it's easier, I think, to build a community in your language, but now we can make bridges, and I think this is the first one. So thank you for this.
Awesome. Thank you guys for being here.